Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome to the retard channel.
No, not retards.
Oh wait, I'm not supposed to say that
Speak
word.
for yourself, retard.
That's not a PC word, is it?
There's still people waiting.
That's because remember, Rumble is always 2 minutes behind or so. So don't even
2
worry.
minutes?
Don't even worry about that. We are live, so we can start.
Hello.
Once again.
Okay, so how's everybody doing? Sissy, what kind of
Good.
weekend have you been having? You know, we sent her our vitamins, and she's bouncing off the walls.
Really perky. Yeah.
She's very she's very
No, I had
Feeling
about
good.
a 3-hour nap today.
Oh well,
and that's what
that
she
probably
said to
helped
me
too,
too.
yeah.
She's like, maybe I just had a nap.
3-hour nap's always good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So welcome everyone.
Welcome.
Happy Sunday.
Yes. So do you want me to say, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends and family, share these live streams.
Do it now.
Don't just click like and say, oh, we watched a really good video. Share the video.
I know. Do you think there's some value to this that we could maybe help other people learn about God? Then share.
Yeah.
Clicking
Yes.
like does nothing.
Certainly, yeah.
Yes, that's very
Yeah.
true.
I mean, clicking like
And
does
subscribe.
something for the algorithms on YouTube and Rumble, but we don't really care about that so much. As sharing with your friends and family is what really gets the word out.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you need to do that. But I hope everybody's having a great weekend. It's coming to a close yet again.
Great weekend.
But it happens so fast. I just can't believe it. Like your week is starting again, and then pretty soon it'll be Wednesday, and then I'll be saying the same thing. I feel like a broken record.
It seems like we say that every time we go live. Well, time's just flying. Like we say that.
But I know I'm not the only one that thinks that.
No.
Well, when you sleep for 3 hours during the day, that's 3 hours of your life you can't get back.
That's true.
Well, for
but you feel really good
really
because you got a 3-hour nap.
Yeah, 3-hour nap. Hey, Jody. Hey, Sachiko.
Hey,
and Adam.
Sisters. And Adam, brother.
Sister soul.
So we're all in a great mood. So
yes,
Diane, you want to do your thing, and then we will get started.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to try not to laugh. We were discussing this before. I'm going to try really hard not to laugh. But when she was doing it before the live, I was cracking up. I don't know what it is. I just think it's funny. She says she looks at herself because if she looks at me, she'll start laughing.
Okay, everyone. If you are tired of being lied to and you've looked on the internet and seen thousands and thousands of videos just to find out that they're just a bunch of lies and you're ready for the truth, well, here we go. You'll get the truth at BibleProphecyandTruth.com. Also,
I don't think I heard that one yet.
Also,
she had a 3-hour nap. A 3-hour nap.
You know why she can't ever get through this? She can't ever get through this because you keep cracking her up.
No, she would be laughing at herself. All she does is looks at me and then she starts laughing.
Okay. I know that I'm funny, but relax. You'll get the truth here. You can also join us on youtube.com/prophecy and truth. You can see some really great videos. If you have any questions or comments, get in touch with Dan today. You can email him at prophecyandtruth@gmail.com. Also, if you want to see some really great videos, go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Or you can join us on Rumble at rumble.com/Bible Prophecy.
Good. Bam. Bob's here.
Do it today.
Bob, like.
The truth.
Can you just do this?
Do it
though? That's for
now.
Bob. He likes. Hey, Bob. Bob likes this. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Diane. And hello, Bob. Welcome.
I love it so much.
So today is going to be very interesting.
No.
And I'm not used to this thing glaring in my glasses down there. I'm going to turn it off. I'll check it once in a while. But if there's any comments, it should come through on StreamYard. So we should see it there. So today, going to be talking about.
Sissy is.
I wore the red shirt. If you can figure out what I'm going to be talking about.
Can I just say this first? Bob says Sissy is sounding so. Sissy is sounding so professional.
Thank you.
That is so funny.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Bob.
I know.
So today, I've got some news to talk about, and we're gonna go through some news, and we're gonna talk about what's going on in the world, and we're gonna talk about Satan's plans, and we're gonna talk about what the Bible says, and we are going to start right now. So this is the first little article I have here. Been talking about this a lot, and this is a new article, and I know that there's all these new polls, and they're trying to say that there's only this many people that really support Hamas, and but here's if you look at the headline and then look at what it actually says in the article, it basically, depending on how you phrase the question, literally half of the youth in the Western world support Islam.
Yeah.
Half. I mean, that's 51%.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, brother. Welcome.
Yeah, that's
51%. I mean, it says, only 29% say this and that. Only 1 in 5, which is 20%, sympathize with Hamas. But when you really get down to it, if you phrase the question correctly, while they might not be willing to say they support a murderous, rapist group of people, they'll say, well, Israel should be ended as a country and given to Hamas and the Palestinians. 51% say that. That's just 51%. And
wow,
this is, if they understood Islam, if they even knew anything about Hamas, I bet you most of them wouldn't say that. But the problem is they've all been brainwashed. They all have no idea what they're even talking about. And it's Satan's propaganda. And here's this Chicago teacher. This is in Chicago, USA. A teacher is teaching the students to scream "Death to America" in Farsi.
What's Farsi?
It's a Arab. It's a Middle Eastern language.
Oh.
I don't remember what country specifically Farsi is from, but somebody probably knows in chat.
Jay, what is Farsi?
But this is the propaganda. This comes through the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, the Council on American and Islamic Relations, CARE, and these PLO and CARE are very much 100% pro-Islam, Hamas, Israel-backed organizations that are actually purposefully put there in place to spread propaganda, to spread lies. they twist everything into a lie that makes the poor little Muslims be the victims, even though they're the perpetrators the vast majority of the time.
Yes.
And so this is the result of that. It's working. That's what I'm pointing out here. It's working. They have half of the youth, half convinced of their lies and their propaganda. And it's Satan's propaganda is what it really is. Because Satan is behind all of this. He wants to convince us all that Jews are horrible, wicked, evil creatures that should die. That's what he wants us all to think. And it's sad to say that even though they may not think that specifically, they still support that because that's how well the propaganda is working. Mm-hmm. It's just so sad. It really is. And it's not even just sad. I mean, sad is not an appropriate word for that. It's a grievous. This is horrible what they're doing to our youth. They're turning our children into hate mongers because that's what Islam wants us to hate the Jews because that's what Islam is about. If you read the Quran, hate the Jews. Read the Hadith and the Sunnah, hate the Jews. You know, it's all about hating Jews. And, you know, we don't hate anyone. They're all lost souls.
Yeah.
Just like every Muslim is a lost soul. Well, every Jew that doesn't believe in Jesus is a lost soul. Yeah. Every atheist is a lost soul. Every Buddhist is a lost soul. They're all lost souls. And that's all they are. They're people. And they're lost souls. And that's what we should care about. Mm-hmm. So, next subject. This is, you know, if you've been with us for any length of time, you've heard me talk about how Ukraine is just a big money laundering operation. And it has been for literally decades, a long time. And I have to tell an interesting story here. We've been reading a lot about bee pollen and how good it is for you and all that. And we've always heard about how we should have local honey to help with allergies and things like that. But we've heard about bee pollen and how it really is just amazing stuff. So we found a local bee farmer and found him on the internet and he's only a half hour away. So we drove over there and visited his bee farm. He's got a little shop, you know, you can go there and buy his stuff. So we went there and he's a 74-year-old man, speaks with a very heavy accent, can't hear anything. You can scream in his ear and he barely can hear you. But we did have a conversation and we asked him about what he thought about Ukraine because he's from the Ukraine. That's where he came from. Yeah. And we asked him about that. And he's like spitting and just saying how awful and corrupt
no, he did that there. At Biden. He said,
yeah,
just like that.
But he was saying how it is so, the government there is so corrupt. That's what he was talking about. And that's what I've learned over the years after, you know, all of the studying and research that I've done and everything that we've seen, especially of late, how the Ukraine was just a big money laundering operation. Yeah. And lots of the United States interests over there, right? Lots of labs, lots of, you know, just stuff going on, businesses and things. And
we asked him about Zelensky and he said, oh, Zelensky, he said, so corrupt or bad, very bad man, very bad man. And I said, well, and then Dan said, what do you think about Biden? He said, oh, Biden.
Yeah. Well, he's got it right. But so this is not something new. But my question to you is, So this has been the piggy bank, right? For the
Yes.
corrupt government officials, right? This has been their laundering facility for a long time. And they laundered millions and millions of dollars through the Ukraine. So my question now is, well, so why did they kind of start this what has turned out to be kind of just a kind of a farce of a war? Because when you and you might say, well, why do you mean a farce? Isn't there really a war going on? Well, absolutely. People dying, bullets being fired, a war going on. But here's what I've read, seen videos on, researched, and even when the war first started, Putin gave them so much warning. He like lined all his troops up, got them all ready, sat there for months, before he finally did anything. And when it first began, I remember watching videos and reading articles about how Putin was only using his old dilapidated equipment in this war. You don't really hear much about that anymore because it's all been blown up, right? It's already been destroyed. But that's how he started the war, with this old dilapidated equipment that was just basically garbage anyway. Why did he do that? Right? Why would he do that? And I've got some notes here. I'm going to let you go ahead and read ahead. Why do that, right? Why start this war with old dilapidated equipment? Why does this war seem to be just kind of sitting there doing nothing? Yeah, you hear about attacks, but there's basically not any momentum in this war. Putin's supposed to be gearing up for this and that. But so tell me how much more money they're laundering now. Tell me how much more of a piggy bank it is for them over there when they just passed a bill for $91 billion.
Jeez.
So they've gone from millions to billions now. Yeah, we're sending them ammo. We're sending them money to help fight the war. Why doesn't it seem to be helping at all? Where's all this money going? Nobody really knows. There's been all kinds of, newscasters asking questions about that. Trying to. In fact, one of the guys, there was a journalist that went there to research what actually was happening. They ended up throwing him in jail in the Ukraine because he was trying to figure it out. I think I showed that to you guys a few months back. And so how much more money are they laundering through there now?
No one knows where it went.
And that's my question, is that why there's a war in the Ukraine? Is that why, because I've actually seen, I've read articles and seen videos of very knowledgeable people that are knowledgeable about Russia's military is capable of. And what they say is that Russia has very sophisticated military equipment, very sophisticated, like so much more than Ukraine, that they could have won the war a long time ago.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
Seems like it's being dragged out.
Yeah, it's like the question is, well, why isn't he going in and winning the war? Why isn't he doing that? Why are they just kind of sitting there going, don't do anything, don't help, or I'm going to nuke you, and throwing threats out, saber rattling, they're doing a little attack here and there that seems to do nothing. I question these things, and I wonder if y'all question this too. Is it just me? Is it just me that's wondering, or is it everyone?
I've wondered too, because it's like nothing's happening.
I know. It's just been kind of
screaming back and
for
forth at each other, and they don't fight each other.
Yeah. And now, there's billions and billions and billions of dollars we keep sending over there. And boy, did the whole government was going to shut down if we couldn't send money over to the Ukraine. And we even got, they even got our supposed, Speaker of the House, that's supposedly this staunch Republican, conservative Christian man. They even got him to sign on to this. How? What did they do behind closed doors that got him to do this? That's what I wonder. But it was so important to send these billions of dollars to Ukraine. That is their top number one agenda item, to get the money sent.
Not closing the border, not doing
and not doing anything else, really.
Did you type all that?
Yeah.
Well, it's Zelensky is with a Y, not an I.
Oh, so I misspelled Zelensky.
You have why do knowledgeable people?
I should pay
multiple
attention to
times.
the underlines, but it doesn't even have it in the dictionary. So what'd you say? Sorry.
And then where it says why do knowledgeable people say that Russia could have won long time ago?
So instead of a long time ago. I'm speaking with an accent.
Yeah, why did he switch? Bob says that's what I wonder. Why did he switch?
I know, right? What did they do behind closed doors? It's just like the previous speaker that lasted a few days, a few months or something. He just completely lost it.
Now we're criticizing the English.
So yeah, that's my question. Does anybody else see this?
Oh, we all see it.
Does anybody else wonder what's going on there?
No, see, most of the country sees this
and wonders what's going on.
They don't do anything about it, or they can't do anything about it. It's like people like us that we can't do anything about it. But there are people that see. There are people in other countries watching every move that America is making,
and
they're scared to death.
Yeah.
Other countries are scared to death.
Yeah.
Because America is falling.
So this is going on.
Other countries watch us more than we watch anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and they really... Other people in other countries do not want Biden to have another term.
No, they can't figure out why he's in office.
Well, we know why.
Well, we know why, but I'm saying that other countries are like, how did that happen? Did Americans actually vote for something like that?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we know that, and that's the question. What can we do? I mean, this is what we're doing. We're trying to help people understand this. And not only understand what's going on in the world, but tying it all into the Bible's predictions of what's going to happen in the end time. Yeah. Because that's absolutely what's really behind all of this. All of this money laundering, you know what that is? That's buying people. That's bribing. That's blackmailing. That's having the money to do all their little nefarious little activities that they're doing to get everyone to do what they want them to. That's what all that money is for. Yeah. To rule the world. They want to gain control so bad because they want what their little, darkness visible God told them.
Yeah.
That they're going to have this utopia, that they're going to rule the world, That hasn't happened yet, and they're all getting old, and they're all getting frustrated, and they all want it to happen now before they die, right? I can see that. I can definitely see that. That the young guys are starting to take over now.
Well, Soros' son, Alex.
Soros' son, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson. These.
Alex.
Well, Alex, but the guys that are pretending to be our best friends, but at the same time want to put a chip in our head and control us with it, like Musk.
Yeah.
That's what's going on, and we're going to talk more about this, but I wanted to raise those questions. And then, why did Iran put on this ridiculous show of attacking Israel? it amounted to nothing, and they gave plenty of warning ahead of time, and it was nothing.
A little girl died though. A
Well,
little girl.
so
I think
somebody
a
dying is
3-year-old
not
or 5.
nothing, but what I'm
Well,
saying,
no, I know.
what I'm saying is that there was no real show of force here. They threw a bunch of drones at him, and some
They
rockets.
shot down 97% or something
And
like that.
it's like but they knew that it wasn't going to amount to anything anyway.
I know.
So why did they do it? And why did other countries, there's all kinds of articles about how, Biden was supposed to have, signed on to this ahead of time. I don't know whether that's been proven or not. I saw articles about it. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's something very kind of suspicious about this whole thing. And why did they do it? Why did they even bother? Was it, like I said Wednesday, was it to cause escalation? Well, but then Biden's telling Israel, well, if you just show a restraint and only attack, only attack them in response, minimally, then you can go into, the area you want to go into in Gaza. And it's like, there is, these puppets are being led around by the nose, all of them. And I'm saying all of them. It's not just Biden. It's not just Zelensky. It's not just, Putin. It's not just, the leader of Iran. It's not Hamas. It's not Xi Jinping. It's all of them are being led around by the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, they're not all part of they're not all part of the same little organization that sits in a room together. They all have different agendas. Yeah. They all want to be the king at the top when all this comes down. But who's ultimately behind it all?
Satan is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the devil. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he's trying like he has before to try to make the prophecies of the Bible come to pass. He's trying to force it, which he's done in the past. And that's why people think that, like, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. The old Greek dude.
The old
Antiochus Epiphanes. Everybody's like, oh, he was the Antichrist. Well, no, he wasn't. He did everything right up to the point of the Antichrist appearing in Daniel. And then he failed to do anything after that of what the Antichrist was supposed to do. And so Satan even tried 2,000 years ago, 2,200 years ago or so, to make all this happen. Tried again with, Roman Emperor Titus. Tried again with Hitler. I'm sure he's tried many times to force this situation that he knows is going to happen, because God said it's going to happen. But God's not going to let it happen until God is ready for it to happen. Satan can keep trying all he wants. Right?
So maybe that's what's really just what's going on, is that they keep trying to escalate everything, and then God's like, nope, you're not gonna. Yeah. I can't let you. I can't let you until I'm ready. Bob says, what I find really cool, the fact that God saw all of this, and it is part of his plan. You can't fool the one who sees all from the beginning of time. No. Rest in his peace. God's got this.
Yeah. Yes. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, God, that's what it says in 2 Thessalonians. God has his hand in the way. He's withholding, so he's holding everything back until he's ready, because as Jesus said, there would be no flesh saved if the days weren't shortened. It's because God's waiting for that ultimate moment where it's before we'd actually destroy ourselves completely, and he can save as many of us as possible. That's the moment that God has prepared for. That's the moment that God knows is coming, and he's going to lift his hand of restraint when that day comes,
Right.
but not until.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So stuff about Iran, a couple of things, like CNN downplayed the, Iran's attack, which in reality, CNN was actually right about that. It was kind of stupid.
Not me. I
It
was
was
sending
kind of-
Annie messages.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But at the time, nobody knew. But after the fact, it's like, well,
Well,
that was
yeah.
kind of just, what was that? A big show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were right about that, but then they were not right about this one, where the counterattack of Israel. Well, the news came out. Well, they sent over 3 drones, and the 3 of them were shot down, which is so dumb. No, what actually happened is Israel surprised them and attacked before they said they were going to, and they sent over missiles that flew under the radar and took out military installations in Iran without Iran even knowing it happened, or even seeing it coming until the bombs went off. That's how sophisticated the attack was from Israel. It wasn't just a few drones that got shot down. No, Israel actually took out their radar systems. They took out some anti-missile, anti-aircraft sites. They did take out a bunch of military installations in Iran.
Well,
And they didn't even see it coming. That's that's
Israel-
the truth of that matter.
Israel can really take care of itself.
Israel
take
is one
care
of
of
the most
themselves.
technologically advanced countries in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always wondered about that. In the what's now it's almost 20 years. Wow. I just thought of that. It was 2004 I became a Christian
Wow.
in the fall. So it's like coming up on my
20
20th year
years.
anniversary here. And I've wondered for all 20 of those years, and even before that, because this is a known thing, is why Israel is so advanced.
Well, we know why.
This tiny little country that's only existed for a few decades. Why? How can they be so advanced? Well, we know that the U.S. has helped them achieve, right? But no, here's the real answer to that. What did God say in Deuteronomy and in a couple other places?
He wasn't going to let them be destroyed.
Well, that's true, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Oh.
And I just finished with that.
Simple answer. It's God's will. Simple answer.
True, but that's not the one I'm looking for.
Annie.
So God said, I choose to put my name
there
in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Jerusalem is never going to be destroyed because God put his name there.
Yeah.
And God is building, remember Ezekiel 37. The dry bones have come back together and flesh has grown on them.
That's
and
right.
it is now Israel has returned.
That's right.
And it's because, and everybody says, well, US did that, the rest of the world helped them. Well, true, but who really did that? God did that. And how does God do things? He uses men to do what he wants them to do, even when they're not people that love him.
Right.
He uses people to do his will. And he used this country, as evil as it is, to do his will. And put Israel in the state that it's in, gave them and it's not that we have given Israel technology that's beyond anything else has been coming out of Israel in recent decades. They are so advanced there, it's insane. They're making strides that were never made anywhere else. And it's because God is doing that. Now, Now, don't get me wrong. There's, like I've said a billion times, there's no such thing as Judeo-Christianity, because the Jews that don't believe in Jesus are not God's people. They've been hewn off the tree. The branches have been hewn off, and Christians are grafted in to the tree of believing Jews. It's only the Messianic Jews that are the true Israel, and Christians take part in that. We're heirs to the promise.
Bob says, doesn't this blend into the times of the Gentiles ending?
Well, until the times of the Gentiles has come in, exactly. Yes, because we are at the end time right now.
Yeah.
Yes, and blindness in part has happened to the Jews, is what you're quoting there, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Until the times of the Gentiles is fulfilled, or is come in, I think is the words in the King James. But yes, exactly. And when we read Zechariah 12, 13, 14, we see that it's going to be 2/3 of the Jews that will be killed through all of this that's about to happen, through the time of the wrath of God, until Christ returns. After the wrath touches down on the Mount of Olives, and he shows himself to the Jews, and they're going to say, "Where'd you get those wounds in your hands?" And he's going to say, "From my friends." And they're going to realize it was them, their ancestors, that he is Jesus, that he is the mighty God and manifest in the flesh, and what they did to him. And that's the moment they're going to realize that. But 2/3 of them are going to die first.
Yeah.
But that's what God says is going to happen. Another thing that God says is going to happen. And then they're going to be tried. They're going to be brought through the fire. I really believe that this, because it tells us that some of the at least some, and probably all of the feasts and the things that the Jews did in the Old Testament, like the Passover feasts and all the other feasts that they go through, we know that at least one of them is going to be reinstituted during the 1,000-year reign, because it tells us that.
When does
Passover starts
tomorrow?
Monday? Yeah. So I think that that's what that means, that God is going to bring them through the fire. Basically, the Jews are going to be part of those that are living on the earth during the millennial reign, and will have another chance there's going to be another chance for those that remain to be saved, because otherwise, why would God go through all that, right?
Yeah.
For the millennial reign, everybody that lived through it, and the children and everybody during that 1,000 years are going to have a chance. Now, it's going to be tough because he's going to rule with a rod of iron. The grace of God right now is that, we just believe him and love him and follow him, and we're saved. But after he returns in the flesh, the period of grace is going to be over. He's going to rule with a rod of iron. So it's probably not going to be that easy.
So if you steal from your brother, then you'll have to walk up the hill 3 feet, turn around to a 50-degree angle, hop down 6 times.
Like the rituals of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Some of those rituals are just like,
I know.
If I had been born around that time, I wouldn't have made it to heaven.
Oh,
well, that's what Paul teaches us, right? The law was a schoolmaster. It was to teach us that it's impossible for us to be righteous on our own. We can't. It's impossible.
No.
Yeah. So why is all this happening? All of their gods are the same God.
Yeah.
He's got them working for his goals.
But do they know it, do you think? Does Putin know that Xi Jinping
They don't know this.
No.
Some do. Some do, but they don't care, right?
Because they're all in it for themselves.
Because it's like, well, I'm rich. I'm getting what I wanted out of this life, so I don't care. But most of them don't even realize what the other ones are doing, that they're all part of the same plan. They're just, like I said earlier, they're part of different organizations. They don't all sit around in the same room all making plans. They've all got their own agendas, but Satan is ultimately the one driving them all of them, literally all of them, all across the world. Satan is the god of this world, the Bible tells us, and he's got almost absolute control. He's going to gain absolute control when he brings his Antichrist onto the scene.
So Jay says, he always has these questions. They're so adorable. But he says, in the 1,000 years, Satan is bound. So since no temptation, maybe not too bad. I don't know.
Right, and that's part of the thing is, while Satan will be bound, that we don't have the deceiver. Right? We don't have the devil making manipulations and getting everyone to worship false gods, which is, I was just reading through Joshua and Judges, and that's the whole thing was they went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because they kept worshiping false gods.
Mm-hmm.
They turned away from God and were worshiping the false gods of the land.
Mm-hmm. So Bob said, good point, Jay. During that period, it will prove that man is corrupt at his own heart.
And that's the point I was going to make. Thank you, Bob. Is that while Satan will be locked up and no longer able to deceive and manipulate people, men don't really need Satan to be evil.
Right.
And do wicked things and
people
be selfish
blame it
and
on
prideful
Satan all the time, though.
But the evil in men's hearts is really why God flooded the world. It wasn't because they had been deceived. It was because of the wickedness and the evil in their hearts.
Yeah.
The thoughts of the hearts of men was only evil continually. That's why he flooded the world. It wasn't because of the deception. It was because they loved what they were taught from those evil angels.
Yeah.
And went for it big time.
But people always have this attitude, the devil made me do it, and it's like, no, you chose it.
You did it because of your lusts and your pride.
The devil can't make you do anything. He can try, but he can't.
So it's ultimately Satan behind all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to bring this up because this is like, I literally laughed out loud when I saw this.
Yeah, I saw that.
I laughed out loud. It's like, there's supposed to be these UFOs that are piloted by spiritual entities that have their bases under the ocean and underground, and they violate the laws of physics, and they've got all these people that have witnessed all these things.
This is your Tucker Carlson, y'all.
So think about this for a second. Anything that can violate the laws of physics is not a physical thing. Remember what aliens are. We talked about this. Mm-hmm. I just put a brand new video up if you haven't seen that. Aliens are demons in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens are demons pretending to be aliens to fool you. And watch that video and then watch the other one with the astrophysicist, because it'll all really start making sense when you realize what it is it's not a physical thing, so it can violate the laws of physics because it is not a physical thing. It's a spiritual being pretending to be a physical thing. So that's why you see these UFO crash and you go look and there's actually a crater. There's a crash site. The vegetation's all destroyed. There's a crater there, but there's no artifacts of the crashed ship at all. Nothing. Oh, they just cleaned it all up. No, it's because it was not a real ship. It was a demon pretending to be a UFO. And when you understand that, things will really start to click. You understand that these are just demons that are doing this to fool you. Yeah. This is so,
And
it
ghosts.
cracks
All these
me
years,
up.
the people have been claiming that there's aliens out there, but there's never been any
Well,
evidence.
they keep
There's
saying
no
we're going to
evidence.
reveal it, and they never reveal it.
Yeah, they're going to reveal the evidence, but then they have a couple of made up dummies in this
Yeah.
box.
So Bob says, Dan, that is a really good point. Anything that violates the laws of physics cannot be physical.
Yeah.
What's left? Spiritual.
Exactly.
Bob, you know,
It's
we
not
really
a
missed you
physical
being in
thing.
chat.
Yeah.
Good job, Bob.
So the devil thinks he has all of this under control, but
Yeah.
like we were saying, God is the one who ultimately has control. He's not
Yeah.
going to allow Satan to progress until he's saved as many as he can. He's waiting. He's putting up with all the wickedness and evil in the world, grieving at his heart because of it, but doing it and waiting and being patient for us
Yeah.
so he can save us. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. He's so patient and long suffering.
Yeah, and you look at all the evil in the world, and it's like, I could never have as much patience.
Oh.
And God can't even stand to look at evil. He's
Oh.
holy. He's a holy God that can't even look upon evil. And he's putting
But
up
he
with it for
forgives.
us.
Constantly forgiving.
And
Yeah.
then think about how he feels when we fail him.
Yeah.
Think
Mhm.
about
He's
that.
sad.
He looks at
Yeah.
the world and it's like it kills him. And then the person that claims to love him so much hurts him.
Yeah.
Now imagine
The
that.
fake Christians. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Revelation 17:17, in case you haven't been with us before and haven't seen this yet, I talk about it all the time because got to go to 17. Because who is it that's in control? Who is in control? God put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. He's talking about the 10 kings that give their allegiance to the Antichrist, which will be ultimately will be 10 Islamic nations that give their allegiance to what they say is their Mahdi.
Yeah.
So God is ultimately in control of literally everything. And it's not going to happen until he says it's going to happen, no matter what the devil tries to do.
Mm-hmm. Bob said, good point, Diane. If Jesus were human, he probably would have said, you guys are not worth it. Poof.
Yeah.
You're gone.
I know.
Yeah,
if he was
couldn't
like
have that
us.
much patience.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good point.
Because evil
Yeah.
people, they don't act
Spit
like
upon
they
him.
want to be saved or anything to be saved
Well, they
from
don't think they
anything.
need to be saved from anything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good point, because God is so merciful, so loving, so kind, so perfect that human beings can't even understand that, much less attain that level, right?
Mm-hmm.
We strive for it, but will we ever get there? I doubt it. Even in heaven, are we going
We'll
to
always be
as
beneath
perfect
God.
as God? No, never.
Mm-mm.
But
Yeah.
perfect enough because there's no sin or anything there.
There'll be no pain, no sorrow, no death.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we'll never
So
be
it'll
as
be awesome.
equal as God. He will still always be above us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And if we have enough time, I'm going to talk about the seven trumpets, because we've talked about the fifth trumpet. We've talked about the sixth trumpet Wednesday, and I want to kind of review the other trumpets for the sake of new people, because it's so interesting and so compelling when you look at it, what it might have been already. We might already be in the fourth trumpet. So I'm gonna look at that when we finish looking through this stuff. But a couple other things, kind of switch gears here. And we've looked at many things about the Chinese coming into the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
and many, many times over the last few months. And there's another article about how border crossing by Chinese have spiked over 6,000% over just 3 years ago. 6,000%. 24,000 illegally crossed in the U.S. in last year. Or I'm sorry, not
4
last
months.
year, in 4 months. In 2024, 24,000 have come in that we know of. That's not including the ones we don't know of. And here's my point. The Sixth Trumpet War, we looked at that Wednesday. We looked at how it really looks like it could be China that is participant in that war that the Bible talks about, and these the characters involved. And I've heard many people talking about how China is going to attack us from the inside. They're not going to come across the Pacific Ocean like the Japanese did and attack us with warships and planes. They're going to attack us from the inside.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got thousands and thousands of operatives here ready to do that. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
For the perfect time.
That's what they're doing here. They're sending these militants over, preparing to attack us from the inside. And it's, I have to always stop here and say, I am not fear-mongering. I'm not telling you this to create fear, because if we love God, we have no fear. We know that it doesn't matter, but we don't worry about who can harm our body.
Yeah.
We worry about who can destroy our soul in hell. Right? When we trust God, we don't worry about this so much.
Yeah.
We don't worry about it because, hey, the sooner I go, the sooner I'll be at rest and at peace, and I won't have to deal with any of this anymore.
I know.
Which I'm so tired of.
Just don't want to be hit in the face.
I'm ready, but until God decides to take me home, I'm going to be here online fighting against the devil and his lies. And even when they take me offline, that's why I started the videos.prophecyandtruth.com, because YouTube's going to ban me. Rumble may be taken down by they, and I may only have that little video site for a while longer. I've got several websites. I hope to keep as many of them up as long as possible, but eventually it's all going to come down. They're going to have enough control where they'll be able to pick off the little guys like me pretty easily. But I'm going to keep fighting the fight until I can't anymore.
Yes.
And that really, if you love God, that should be your attitude. You shouldn't be working on your worldly goals. If you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you.
Right.
If you're a friend of the world, you're the enemy of God. Why are you thinking about your worldly goals? When you understand what's going on, you really understand what's going on, why do you care about any of that? You should be fighting this fight with us. You should be putting on the armor of God and wielding the sword of truth with the knowledge you've gained from reading the Bible and reading it yourself. Not believing some other deceived person's interpretation as they lie to you and regurgitate the lies that they've bought. Now read the Bible yourself. Put on the armor, wield that sword, and join us in this fight.
Amen.
If you love God, that's what you should be doing. If you're a person that's new to this channel and you don't know what I'm talking about, then please contact me. Please go to my websites. Please watch the other videos on whatever channel you're watching on, and and look into it. Seek out God and seek out the truth. And you know what? If you do that, you will find it, because that's God's promise. Seek and you will find. Study to show yourself approved. Now that doesn't mean just go and watch a few YouTube idiots and decide that, no, seek God. Seek him in his word that he preserved for us for this day. The Bible is readily available to virtually anyone in the world. And I know there's parts of the world where it's not so easy to get a Bible, but if you're in the Western world, you can get one. Easy. Read it.
It's not as easy like in Asia and stuff.
Right. So this is, 24,000 in 4 months. Less than 4 months. We haven't even reached the end of the 4th month yet. And then there's these articles, inside the CCP's fentanyl warfare strategy to kill Americans. I've seen this over and over and over. The drugs that are coming across the southern border, they're not just the South American cartels. Where are they getting it? Right? It's being funneled in here, trying to destroy us with addiction and drugs, trying to weaken us from within. That's part of the CCP's plan. It's part of their 100-year plan to take over the world. And part of that is to weaken the United States so that we can't stop them. The FBI warns that Chinese hackers are poised to hit the U.S. infrastructure anytime. And that's what, the 24,000 in the last few months, there's tens of, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of them already here, setting up in positions to take out our infrastructure. Because when you do that, guess what? America's dead. If you were to take out our infrastructure, we can't do anything.
Right.
So again, like I've said before, if you're not a prepper, that's okay. Not everyone believes in that kind of thing, but we're getting to a point where it's not very smart not to prepare for what might happen, which is almost certainly going to happen. So do some prepping, right? Get at least some water.
At least enough stuff for 5 months, because when the first woe happens, that's going to be for 5 months.
Right. And we studied that. That's in the video that I just put out. It's a 5-month ordeal. And guess what? People aren't going to be shipping stuff around. Stores aren't going to be
Amazon
open.
Is not going to be
nobody's going to be going outside when these things are flying around stinging everybody.
No. Walmart will not be available.
So I know that 5 months seems like a hard number to reach, but start off with at least a minimum of 2 weeks of food and water so you could stay in your house and not leave and survive. Well beyond that is more preferable. 5 months would be ideal, because that's a number that we're given in the scriptures. We know that that's going to happen. And the war could start before we see that. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what infrastructure may be successfully taken out. We don't know how long it's going to be. It's just smart to, and if you do some prepping and you don't need it, well, guess what? You can just use the stuff that you stocked up anyway. You're not going to be wasting anything. So it's just smart to start thinking about that.
I mean, what do they say? Sometimes it rains.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then, Putin. Iran is one of the main pillars of stability and security in the region. Like,
This man is so
wait,
evil.
what?
Really?
But it's like I keep saying, China and Russia have always backed Iran. They always will. And, those two guys serve the same God, even though they have no idea they do.
Well, of course.
They're both serving Satan. They're both serving their own agendas, but they're puppets.
Bob said, Dan, what about those locusts that will be released? Someone said they thought they would be the demons released from hell. That's the fifth trumpet.
Were you here
Bob,
Wednesday? You weren't here Wednesday. We talked
Oh.
about that, I think, on Wednesday or last week, and I just put out a video on the opening of the deep. Take a look at that, because I believe 100% that those locusts are going to be demons in the guise of these creatures. Yes, absolutely. So yeah. And then, while Iran is one of the main pillars of stability and security, ISIS in Europe threatens attacks on sports stadiums in France, Spain, and the UK.
Gosh.
Who's behind ISIS and Al Qaeda and Hamas and Hezbollah? Iran. So, what?
Yeah, I know.
Who are you trying to fool?
Stability. That's what Bob said. Stability in the East.
And then also in Myanmar, this, I believe, is in India. Jihadi groups take over 1,600 Hindus and 100 Buddhists and 120 Buddhists hostage. So what do Muslims do with people they capture?
Torture them.
Well, they make them slaves.
Torture them.
Or they cut off their heads.
They make them slaves if they don't kill them. Yes. They usually will kill them, but when they capture them, they make them their slaves. Muslims are very much slavery oriented.
Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
For all those people out there that think it's horrible to have slaves, well, are you supporting Hamas and Hezbollah, or are you supporting Iran? Are you supporting Gaza or Palestine, even though there isn't a Palestine? Think about that for a second. When they support slavery, how does that fit? Yeah. So when you see them taking hostages, they're making slaves out of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is actually true. Israel is fighting for the West against Islamic terrorism because nobody else seems to care.
Right.
But Israel's the only one fighting Islam.
Yeah.
Because we're all brainwashed. We're all thinking, Islam's this wonderful, peaceful, great. After they just went in and brutally murdered thousands of people and took some of them as slaves and raped them and killed them. And these are just wonderful, God-fearing, loving, great people, right? The only reason people think that is because they have no idea. They're so brainwashed. They don't even, they have no idea what they're supporting. And then my beautiful wife shared this with me, this video from Fox News, Mark Levine. And he makes, and I really encourage you to go Mark Levin. Go and look for that on YouTube, Fox News channel, and look for this video. It really was good. And it's communism. It's not progressivism. It's communism that's being pushed and driven home in our country. And and he really does understand the problem with Islam. He talks about that during this video. So good one to watch, definitely. And then on a side note, more signs, more stuff going on in the world.
I was going to send this to you, Annie, but I was thinking you're past the volcanoes and earthquakes and stuff.
And by the way, I just sent you a link on Messenger, Annie, about some of the solar flares and things. I sent it just before the live started that you might be able to use. It's interesting information regardless.
Does that have to do with more of the sun, stars, and moon?
Yes.
Oh, that was the last video I did.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
This one's on.
She's rare. Waves
You're past
roaring.
that one.
She's on weather.
The waves. Yeah. All right. Well,
there's so many things happening.
I know that you could update constantly.
But you can't wait forever to do the video because you'll never get done. I know. All right. Well, never mind anyway. So, Indonesia volcano eruption. So, I mean, it's not the first time this volcano's erupted, but it's just another one of those things that, we're seeing more and more and more of all the time.
Wasn't there an earthquake somewhere in the Midwest, and that someone said it was like the first ever?
Here?
Texas.
Texas.
So this is in Utah.
I just quickly
Just a little one.
What is the one in Texas?
Let's see what 7-day 4.5. We don't have anything. We don't have anything of significant size in the U.S. in the last week.
There was one in Texas and Utah. Right?
Yeah, but those were just little 2s and 3s.
But what did they say?
I saw something briefly on the news about an earthquake in a really weird area in the United States. So they've never had an earthquake before.
Yeah, and that's been happening actually often recently, where there's earthquakes where they've never had them before. Like they're not earthquake zones, right? But what did Jesus say? What did Jesus say would one of the signs that would herald his coming?
Earthquakes in diverse places.
Exactly. And we're seeing that. We're seeing all of the signs that Jesus gave us. All of them.
What's really going to be weird is when they have an earthquake in Florida. Part of us is going to go underwater.
Yeah. Well, I hope that doesn't happen because we're so near sea level.
We're surrounded by water.
It would just,
What's that fault line in California?
The San Andreas.
Yeah, they said something on that, but see, I couldn't watch it because I was working. I don't remember what it was, but it was really good.
Well, they expect a big one of these days. And I'm sure we're going to see a big one of these days. We'll probably see California fall into the ocean.
It'll just separate. It'll
Louisiana
islands.
Yeah, a little island separate. Yeah.
They have a movie on that.
So just stuff that's going on every week. We see something. So then I wanted to bring this up to everybody. I'm actually working on this right now. I know I've talked about this in live streams, but I realized that I didn't actually have a video that I'd produced on why the Antichrist is a Muslim. And so it's a lot. I've got an article that I wrote 4 years ago on it, but I wanted to make it easier for people to see. We've talked about it. We've gone through these things on our live streams, but I'm working on a video right now on this subject, why the Antichrist is a Muslim, why we know that. So this is the link to the article that you're welcome to take a look at, of course. And if you go to my newsletters archive and search for why Antichrist, if you start searching for that, why anti, you'll find it right away. And for new people, let me show you. Under my notes menu on BibleProphecyandTruth.com, under the notes menu, there's the newsletters archive. And if you go there and click on this flat list, then it has basically all the newsletters that I've written. And if you search for why anti, you'll find that why the Antichrist is a Muslim really easily. And it goes through 8 reasons why I believe that is so. I think the scriptures have proven to us, and the state of the world today, it goes hand in hand with what Jesus said would happen in the last days is happening right now. And all of the prophecies and everything that we see shows us that Islam is going to be part of the end time one world religion, one world government that the Antichrist rules. And we've already proven in multiple videos and multiple live streams and multiple articles that I've written that it's not going to be Catholicism, because Muslims don't believe in interfaithism. Catholicism is the only one that believes in interfaithism, and some deceived and misguided Christians, unfortunately. But it's going to be a submission of Catholicism to Islam, not a joining, not a merging. It's going to be a submission to Islam. And because that's just how it's going to happen.
Jay said, hey, Dan, on side note, not all the 10 heads would be Muslim, right? Or is it all 10 heads?
Well, remember there's 13 heads there's 13 beasts in the final kingdom of the Antichrist in Revelation 13. The lion, the bear, and the leopard, and the 10-horned beast. So the 10-horned beast is going to be a kingdom, which will be 10 Islamic kings that give their allegiance to their Mahdi. And then the other 3 beasts, the lion, the bear, and the leopard, will also join forces with that 10-horned union, that 10-king nation union of nations. So it's going to be that the initial will be the 10-horned kingdom. The Mahdi will rise in Islam, and he will create a union of nations that give him their allegiance of 10 Islamic kingdoms. And then he's going to create his worldwide kingdom by joining forces with that 10-nation union with the lion, the bear, and the leopard, which is almost certainly going to be the UK and Russia and Germany. So I hope that answers.
He said, oh, okay.
So the 10-horn nation will almost certainly be all Islamic kings, yes. It's going to be a single beast. It's going to be that 10-horned union, the 10-king union that the Antichrist creates. And there's more about it, but that's the gist of it. It's going to be a single kingdom that he unites 10 kings under. And then everything we know about prophecy, everything we know that Satan has set up in the world, everything that we know that God told us about proves. And I can't tell you that this is a fact that the Bible states it in black and white, but I can tell you that I know it absolutely for sure in my own mind that it's going to be a Muslim, and it's going to be an Islamic religion that is forced upon the world when the Antichrist takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Catholicism is going to submit to that, not become part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be a union.
It's not a
It's going to be
team.
a submission.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the false prophet is going to support the Antichrist, doing miracles to prove that he's from God, even though he's getting his power from Satan and the sight of the beast. He's going to cause the world to believe that this man is from God. And he's going to be a subordinate character, not the ruler and not an equal. He's going to be a supporting person. So I'm working on that video. And then the next one I'm going to do is we've talked about this in multiple live streams as well. And I've got it in the article, the stages set, which on any of my websites, you've got it right in the very top.
Yeah.
Second video here, the stages set.
That shows the beast. That's Sachiko's.
Yeah, this is the big picture, the grand mosaic. The final big picture, all the puzzle pieces come together in this one. And then the video site that some of you might be on right now also has this at the top, and it also has a video on the stage set right there at the very top at videos.prophecyandtruth.com. So definitely check those out. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a video on this where we're going to look at all the lies of Satan. We did a live stream series on this not too long ago, but I'm going to do a video on it that I can upload and have it on all my sites where I go through all of these the false prophecies that Satan has set up in the false religions of the world and how it's deceived the entire world. So look for those. And then in a few minutes, I'm going to drop YouTube. And there's a couple other articles I wanted to talk about, but we can't talk about those on YouTube. So in a little bit, I'm going to drop YouTube. But for a couple of minutes, I want to briefly run through the prophecies on the 7 trumpets. And I'm going to prophecyandtruth.com because I've got, I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. GoDaddy is my hosting service for my Bible prophecyandtruth.com, and it is slow as molasses. I've had to move a lot of processing off of it onto other servers, other websites, because they can't handle anything, and it's just the most horrible host I've ever been under. So don't use GoDaddy for anything. If you do need a web host. Just had to put that out there. So I'm going to prophecyandtruth.com because that's on Epic, which is a much better hosting. And they're also a free speech host. So that's why I have Prophecy and Truth there, so that even when they come after me, I might be able to keep my website up for a while. I hope so. Anyway, go to Bible prophecy there, and then the 7 trumpets. And I'm going to go really fast through this. I've got videos. I've got an article that we're going to look at right here. I've got videos, which if you click on this, it will actually go to the videos.prophecyandtruth.com, and you can look at the 7 trumpets video series there. And then the one I just did, the opening of the deep. And then this astrophysicist talking about aliens or demons. So check those out. But just for everyone's entertainment, I'm going to run through the first 3 trumpets, because we've talked about the 5th, we've talked about the 6th, and the 7th is the final event. The 6th seal, 7th trumpet, 7th vial, they're all the same event. It's the last thing that happens when God pours out his wrath and he returns. But the first 3, and we're probably in the 4th right now, are just so awesomely compelling when you look at it, because a lot of people think that these have to sound during the final 7 years. That's not, you can't prove that in the Bible anywhere. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying when you look at this, you might agree with me that it's probably not going to be the obvious. And I say that because I talk about an asteroid storm, but God doesn't do the obvious. He teaches in parables. He wrote mystery in the Bible to keep those that don't love him from learning the truth. So are the trumpets going to be obvious that the whole world will see?
I don't think so.
No.
Now the 5th, that's going to be one that's going to be easily proven through the scriptures. But the first 4 are not woes. They're more warnings, like wake up, open your eyes, right? The 5th, 6th, and 7th trumpets are the 3 woes. Those are judgmental, very grievous things that happen to the earth that are like very it's not just a warning. It's a like, you better wake up now, right?
Yeah.
But so the first and second trumpets, when you read about it, it's hail and fire mingled with blood cast upon the earth. Some, third of grass and trees, or a third of the trees and the grass is burned up, and this great burning mountain cast into the sea. A third part of the sea becomes blood. Third part of the sea creatures die. Third part of the ships are destroyed. Now you can say, well, that's probably an asteroid storm, right? The hail and fire mingled with blood cast to the earth. This great burning mountain. So an asteroid storm followed by this great big asteroid, right? And plummets into the sea. Well, that's the obvious. And I'm not saying that it's not that, or that it can't be that. I'm saying that I think it might not be that. I don't think God is going to be that obvious.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, and it could be, literally could be, because that would be a pretty good description of what John had no idea what it was. But so, given that, I don't think God's going to do the obvious. So let's look at this.
Have you thought about it possibly having to do anything with a volcano?
Great burning mountain cast into the sea. If John were to have been given a vision of a great volcano erupting under the ocean, maybe sure. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
But let's just look at this for the sake of, like I said, entertainment, because this is like really speculative. This is not something we can prove with scripture. Until it happens,
Right.
we can't say
Right.
that this is what it is.
Right.
But we can speculate that this first trumpet may have been World War I. I'm not very convinced of that, though, because it's just,
So
there
vague.
followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. That's all it says.
Yeah.
So World War I, they had napalm-like materials. They burnt things up. They had a scorched earth policy. 8.5 million people were killed in the war, which is a very significant event, of course. But it doesn't. I'm not convinced that was the trumpet. But thank you, Jay, for pointing this out to me.
Yeah, that was
the Leonid storm of 1833. 100,000 meteors crossing the sky every hour.
Yeah.
How much of the trees were destroyed in that? How much grass was burned up? The whole world was watching this in awe.
Huh.
I
didn't even know
mostly the locals. I mean, we didn't have internet back then. They didn't even have TV back then. They didn't have any of that stuff. So, but it was very big news across the world as stories traveled, right? And this event was amazing event. This is an artist's rendering. It was actually someone who actually was alive during that time that drew this particular rendering.
They were alive.
Yeah, it was Falling Stars from 1833 in 1914.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, so it wasn't that time. Sorry, I was wrong about that. But this is like, and there was like a carving someone did in wood at the time of this, very similar type picture, I believe, if I remember right. There's a link to the blog on it there. But yeah, that could have been the first trumpet.
Sure. Because we don't know. Yeah.
But so first trumpet, kind of iffy, right? So what got my attention though was the second and third trumpets, and so I'm going to show you that real quick.
Me too.
The second angel sounded. Let me get this kind of out of the way a little bit here. The second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. The third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. So the Second World War had the first nuclear bomb ever detonated in a war scenario.
Mhm.
And if John would have seen that, what would he have thought? He had no idea what a nuclear weapon is or anything like that.
Yeah.
And if he had seen this from the inland sea in Japan, where this explosion would have been visible, if John had been shown this vision, might he have thought that looked kind of like a great burning mountain cast into the sea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. The real interesting thing about this is it says the third part of the ships were destroyed. And I don't know why this is
Part
so
of the
much
ships
lighter.
were
I'm gonna
destroyed.
put this down here. In World War II, there was a total of 105,127 ships of record. 36,387 were destroyed in the war. That's almost exactly a third.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then we don't have any idea how many sea creatures were killed from the explosion, the resulting radiation, all of the oil poisoning the sea, all of the tens of millions of barrels of oil that have sunk due to that war and been
Oh,
a lot of those
they have
a lot of
found
those
that.
ships are actually deteriorating and imploding, and the oil is leaking out
Yeah,
and poisoning the oceans,
that's
killing
true.
marine life in the oceans. So a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. A third part of the sea became blood. Now, if you know what oil is supposed to be, simply compressed organic matter that is liquefied into crude oil. So that could be called blood in God's eyes. So crude oil is compressed organic matter. Millions of barrels of oil lost at sea. Tens of millions lurking in rapidly deteriorating shipwrecks. A third part of the ships were destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
There's just some pictures of ships that are on the bottom of the ocean.
Mhm.
And a third part of the sea creatures die. Here's an article from a while back in the UK where they were talking about how fishermen were noting how there was just so much less ocean life available, that there's just so it's a marked difference, and the number of fish in the ocean. It used to be just plentiful, just masses, so there was just tons and tons and tons of fish in the sea, and they're like they're not there anymore. And it's, tell me that it's because we're fishing them all up. No, we're talking millions and millions of fish.
Fish breathe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that one is like, wow, that could be the second trumpet. That's like, if you think about it, it really could be.
Sure.
It's like, wow, maybe.
Mhm.
So here's the kicker.
Third one was my
Here's
favorite.
the one.
Yeah.
So the third angel sounded
Yeah.
and fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters, and the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Now, if you research the name wormwood in the Ukrainian language, you would find that it actually means Chernobyl. The name Chernobyl is wormwood. And there was, in case you don't know this, there was a nuclear reactor in Chernobyl in Russia that blew up in 1986,
Mhm.
actually in Ukraine. And most of us that are of any age remember at least hearing about it or reading about it. Now here's the thing about this explosion. That the first explosion blew the 2 million pound lid off the reactor. The second explosion sent nuclear radiation a mile up into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it burned in a full nuclear fire for 3 weeks before they were able to put it out.
Right.
And if you were looking at that fire from a couple miles away, would it look like a big lamp, maybe? Like to John, now that's a nuclear explosion, right? But the radiation, the fire that was burning there was visible from miles away. And if John was shown this vision, it could have certainly described it burning as it were a lamp, like an oil lamp, which would be what he would be describing. And then, but here's the thing about this: 10 times as much radiation was released as the Hiroshima bombing. It rained incessantly for 5 days. I mean, we live in Florida here, and when we have a tropical rainstorm, it dumps.
Mm-hmm.
And it did that for 5 straight days with no let up.
Wasn't it like that in 2009 or 2010? It dumped like that for like 3 weeks straight, and the kids couldn't even
Well,
start
there was
school.
one time there was a hurricane that was just hovering above Florida.
I know.
And all it did
though,
was
right?
rain on us for
3 weeks, and it
was
wouldn't move.
it was downgraded to a tropical storm and just hung out.
Yeah, that was like.
But this would have been a rainstorm like no other. I mean, it just really poured for 5 straight days. And the radiation cloud moved across Sweden, Italy, Germany, Great Britain, and then even in a very diluted form all the way across to the east coast of America. And I've got a little map of the path of this thing. And what did it say about this in the thing? It said the third part in the trumpet, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters. Go away, thank you. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
There you go.
So this is the thing. This is about the waters. This whole trumpet is about the waters and how they were made bitter by this event. And there was it's estimated 125,000 people died directly due to that incident. But the most deadly thing was it rained so hard that the water flowed into the rivers and streams and all contaminated the water all the way into Europe. And they estimated that 2 million people are infected by the radiation, but they have no idea how many really were and how much that has affected the next generations.
Oh.
And how many diseases and deaths are occurring because of that.
If you want to watch videos on the babies that were born with radiation poisoning and the children and all that,
it's
all
horrific.
the people that were affected by this, it is one of some of the
horrific.
saddest videos you will ever see.
Yeah. And that's the theme of this prophecy.
Yeah.
Is the waters. Many men died because the waters were made bitter in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Wormwood.
That's obvious.
This to me that blew my mind.
Yeah.
That was like, wow, this really could be the trumpet.
Yeah.
And it's God just warning us.
Yeah.
And you guys need to quit playing with fire and just turn to me.
Yeah, you're screwing up.
Yeah.
You're going to burn yourself. Yeah. And, really, the first 4 trumpets are warnings from God.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
So it's a little after 8. I'm just going to touch briefly on the fourth angel sounded, third part of the sun was smitten, third part of the moon, third part of the stars, third part of them was darkened as the day shone not for a third part, and the night likewise. So does it mean that it's, what does that mean, right? Jesus said, except those days are shortened, there'd be no flesh saved. I don't know if that means that the day's time is actually sped up, or if it means that the days themselves are shortened than what they could have been if we wouldn't have destroyed ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that second description is probably more likely, But here's the thing about this, and I think I have Jay to thank for this as well. I've always thought, well, maybe it's that everything, God just kind of speeded up time, because everything seems to be going so fast.
Sped up.
And, whatever, speed, it's sped. So, but I don't know. The third trumpet really gets me, whether or not this is in progress and this is what it means. I just want to, Satan has exact duplicate mirrored prophecies because he understands prophecy way better than we do.
Jay showed you this?
I believe so. And there's a hadith
Dang.
in Islam about how in the last days, time will speed up.
Jay,
where
was that
a year
you?
is like a month, and a month like a week, and a week like a day, and a day like an hour, and an hour like the flicker of a flame. This is a hadith that Satan set up in Islam.
Yeah.
Because Satan knows the prophecies. Now, did Satan think that this means that time would be sped up?
Well,
Maybe.
he already knows everything about it.
So that's all. I just wanted to kind of touch base on those. So
interesting.
you can watch the videos, you can study the article yourself, and I just wanted it because it's so cool. I think it's cool to study this stuff, and this is so compelling. This is
Chernobyl,
like I'm almost convinced that that's Chernobyl, the third trumpet, but it remains to be seen. Like I said, right?
I can believe that is going to obviously prove where we are.
When we see the fifth trumpet, we'll know that the first four are blown.
Of course, you also have
with everything that's going on right now. I believe the first three have blown.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No matter what the signs are for them, everything that's going on today is just whacked.
Yeah. That's a good word
to say
for
it
it.
gently.
Yeah.
Everything is just whacked.
Of course, we also have to remember that the Sixth Trumpet War. Can you imagine anything worse than a World War III coming up?
And they're telling you on the news, we're gonna see World War III.
I know.
Oh,
right. So there's got to be somewhere in there where we are right now.
The weather is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's not in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, we got sun and warmth. But everywhere else in the world is going chaotic.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really nice.
And here's the thing, if you're new to this channel, on prophecyandtruth.com or BibleProphecyandTruth.com, if you scroll about halfway down the front page, there's an article here on when is the end of the world. And I talk about all of these signs. The signs that Jesus gave that would herald his coming. And there's a video series on it. You click on this and it'll take you to the videos.prophecyandtruth.com and directly to, I'm sorry, I've got to fix that. It doesn't take you there.
Yes, that came from Jay. Yes.
Yeah. So, but at the bottom of this article is also a playlist on the videos that Diane is working on. There's 11 videos in this playlist right now where she's going through each one of the signs separately and doing a video on it.
Yeah,
and it's really,
she's working so hard at it.
Really good. So scroll about halfway down the page on the home page of either website. And I'm going to change that link. I don't know why I haven't changed that link yet. To go to the videos.prophecyandtruth.com and see the video series there as well, because it is on the site. Oops. I'll show you. If you go to biblical prophecy and look on that page, it is right here. When is the end of the world? And then the playlist there as well. So a couple of videos I did years ago, and then the video series that Diane's working on right now. So, so what we're going to do right now is I've got like two things I want to talk about real quick that I can't talk about on YouTube. So we're going to drop off of YouTube right now.
Oh, I wanted to just say this really quick because Jay is asking questions. Well, the way the trumpets are written, it's done in such a way you will know which one it is the minute you see it. Correct? He
Probably.
said, so even if we're not sure now, we'll know as soon as it blows. Yeah.
Well, true, yes. And
then-
that's why I say when we see the fifth trumpet, there's not going to be any doubt about that.
Right.
And we'll know. I already turned the little banger thing
oh,
on.
and Bob
So-
likes Annie's whacked. He said, he said, love Diane whacked.
It's
She's
just
very
crazy out
blunt.
there.
Okay, she's very
The
blunt.
weather is just wow.
Yeah.
And it's happening all right now. It's like everything was quiet, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and
Yeah.
I know.
the open
It's
gates.
accelerating big
Yes,
time.
right.
Yeah.
So where do I go?
So go to StreamYard.
So,
and
but if you are watching on YouTube,
Hmm.
we're just make sure that you subscribe, like, and share.
and go to rumble.com/Bible prophecy and pick up the live stream there to catch
Right.
what we're about to do right now that you won't see on YouTube.
Right.
So we're
Okay,
leaving
so go
YouTube, but we're at
here.
now.
Go there.
Remove.
Remove.
Yep.
Remove.